Hey everybody, David Burns with you again today. Thanks for watching my beekeeping videos here on YouTube. I do appreciate it. And as always, please subscribe by clicking on the subscribe button below. We are approaching 50,000 subscribers, hopefully by the end of the year. So help me accomplish that by clicking on subscribe and the bell. That way you'll be notified each time I make a new beekeeping video. I've got some cool things for you planned today. It is a scorcher. It is so hot outside. Wow, I'm sweating in the morning. So humid outside. And so what we want to do today, we want to drop back into that 5-frame nuke hive that I made some videos on. We actually had a 5-frame nuke that I moved the queen out and used her somewhere else and let them raise their own. Well, that generated a decline in population while we were waiting on that new queen to emerge and get mated. And we made some videos about that, particularly about me accidentally putting another queen in there because I wanted to strengthen that colony, that little 5-frame nuke, by moving a frame of bees in there. And when I did, I accidentally carried the queen over too. Didn't have my glasses on, I missed her. And so, you guys told me about it. You saw me do that. And so I went back there early in the morning and then I moved that queen out of there so there wouldn't be 2 queens in there. 2 queens one's going to die. Maybe 2 will die. But anyway, we salvaged that, made okay with that. Now we're wondering how much have they really built up populations? I mean, they were down to hardly nothing. So the question is moving one frame of bees over to a hive that's very low in population, what kind of effect does that have on helping them build up? So we hope to open it up and see a lot of bees and a lot of good brood in there, everything function normally. So that'd be cool to do that. But I also want to talk to you about why I'm sweating today and what are you going to do about your bees that are so hot. And then after we do all of that, I'm going to come back and we're going to have coffee time. And by the way, I'm trying to use a different cup each time I do coffee time. This particular cup, if you can see here, is from Giant City State Park in Makanda, Illinois. It's about 2 or 3 hours south of me. I live in central Illinois. But Giant City State Park, they have a beautiful park there. They have a beautiful lodge. They have cabins that are awesome. My family has stayed in those cabins since the 1980s, I think. We go back a long time. That has been our family's ideal vacation spot when we want a little short, a day, 2-day, 3-day little getaway. They have a nice pool. I get no benefits of saying this. They don't even know I'm saying it, but I'm just telling you that. And so I bought this coffee cup when I was there, and check it out if you're in the area. They have a giant water tower that you can actually walk up to the top of that water tower through stairs and have a lookout and see pretty far away. It's a neat place to be. I've spent a lot of years going back and forth and enjoying my time there. It's beautiful. Speaking of coffee mugs, if any of you are bored of what I'm using as coffee mugs, you can send me a coffee mug. And if it's not, something abusive or something that I wouldn't approve of, I'll drink out of your coffee mug. So go to our website at honeybeesonline.com and you can find our mailing address and you can ship me a mug and we'll put your mug in my videos, okay? Maybe if we select your mug. So keep that in mind. I'm not a collector of coffee mugs, but I do change it up just to make my day different. So that's a lot of fun. Oh, and by the way, some of you wonder, do you say a nuke or a nook? I hear it both ways. I think I say it both ways. But there is a right way to say it, even though I may say it wrong sometimes. The right way to say it is nuke because it's short for the word nucleus. Nucleus means a small portion of something larger. Like the nucleus of a hive is 5 frames that you pull out, and that becomes a nuke. Think of nuclear. It's a nuke, not a nook. A nook, I think, is something like an indentation in a wall where you would go in a little nook and read a book or something. But you say nuke. but I assure you, I am probably going to mispronounce it and say it wrong, because sometimes I got in the habit of saying it wrong. It's a nuke. Anyway, we're going to go in that little 5-frame nuke, and we're going to take a look, and that's going to be fun to see, you know, how they're doing. Now, it's so hot outside, and it's going to be hot, hot, hot. What are you going to do about your bees becoming too hot? And what happens to a colony that gets really hot? So before we jump into the nuke, I want to share with you about how to keep your bees cool in hot weather. Then we'll go jump in that little nuke box and see how it's doing. And after that, coffee time, where I kind of give some philosophy about life. Oh, by the way, speaking of philosophy about life, somebody made a comment. I'll put it down. I'll put it on the screen. We can read it. Somebody said they were watching one of my videos, the one about the big hive that had so many supers on it. And the comment was, hey, somebody give this nice old man a ladder. It's like, what caught my attention was, old? Nice old man? I am an old man? Come on. You've got to know that I do this. This is all makeup. You know, I have a team that come in and they make me look old, wrinkles, and they put gray in my hair to make me look old. I'm really 35, but I needed a way to look more distinguished so that you would believe my videos. And if you're believing what I'm saying, you're I am old, okay, already. I don't know how I got old. I woke up one day old. But I assure you, what's really weird about getting old, if you're not old yet, I don't feel old. And I know I look old because my hair is gray and thinning and I've got wrinkles and all that, but I'm a very physically active person. I've got a sharp mind most of the time, and I feel 30. And I don't even feel old. I don't feel past 30 physically. I think in some ways I'm healthier now at 60 than I was when I was 30. But it's just the outward appearance that's giving it all away. So, okay, chronologically, from the day I was born, I am 60, but in reality, I'm 30. If that helps any. It may not help you, but it helps me, okay? And another person said, I was a Mr. Rogers of beekeeping. I like that. I like Mr. Rogers. He has since passed away, but I watched Mr. Rogers. And I liked his real smooth, calming style. It was refreshing as a kid growing up and watching Mr. Rogers for me. I like that. Well, anyway, I'll talk more about stuff like that. Maybe I'll have a little section of coffee time today about growing old. Maybe that'd be fun. It happens to all of you. There's only one alternative to growing old, and that's dying young. So I think growing old is a good thing. All right. Okay. Well, anyway, let's go ahead. I'm going to suit up before it gets too hot, and I'm going to put my gloves on too, because I don't like getting stung in the fingers just on a hot day. They could be a little more agitated. And we'll pop it open. We're going to look, see if we see that blue queen and how she's doing. Let's get started. Ah, remember this one? Let's see how they're doing now. Yeah, why not? A little fuller than I remember it. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Let's take a peek, see what's in here. Whew. Yeah, it's drawn out wide too. I don't want to make a mess or kill bees. Gotta be muy careful. All right, what do we got? Oh, we got a combination. I'm going to take this and put it on the picnic table. Maybe we'll find one with a queen on it. That'd be fun. Let's set that out there for a sec in the sun. All right, next one over. You just smoke it. It shows you how much this hive has expanded and how normal they look now as to how small they got there for a while. All right, let's keep looking at everything. Looking at the brood pattern of the queen. Looking at eggs, see how many eggs we got, what's going on in here. Little 5-frame nuke. Oh yeah, I like her laying pattern. It's very good. I like it. We need to see our blue dotted queen though. Where is she? We all want to see her because she's become part of the family. Don't see a blue dot, and I don't see a blue dot. Okay. Yeah, the blue dotted queen, like, she's part of the family. We watched her when she was a virgin walk around, and then she almost got killed by David accidentally putting a queen in there, but he got that queen out, and now everything's okay. So there she is, people. All right, makes you feel good, doesn't it? Indeed, look at all the eggs and larvae down in there. I promised to talk about what do you do with your bees in hot summer days like this. Oh, I got some great tips for you. It's not very windy today. It's going to be very humid. It's going to be very hot. Number one, if you can kind of put your hives in the shade, like in the afternoon, where they get sun in the morning, shade in the afternoon, that helps so much. Well, let's say your bees are in the sun all day long. And let's say you don't have more than 10 hives. If you've got 100 hives, this doesn't apply to you. But if you've got if you're a backyard beekeeper and you've got, less than 10 hives, what I like to do if my hives are in sunlight all day long, I take a piece of plywood, like a 4x8 piece of plywood, cut it right in the middle where it's a 4x4, and I lay that on top of my hive. As I place a shaded kind of a piece of board on the top to allow some shading in the heat of the afternoon. Now look at the sun now. It's starting to set. It's not real high in the sky anymore, so it's a little cooler. But you can see it's still making some shade, and earlier when the sun was more overhead, it was making a lot of shade. And you can adjust this by moving it. And so what you want is just to create some artificial shade with a board like that. I've just got a real thin board here that's lightweight, and if you want to, you can place it on the top with a brick to kind of hold it down. A 4x4 piece of plywood, and I put a rock or a cinder block on top. That way, when the major part of the sun comes up and pounds that hive, you would not believe the amount of shade that 4x4 hanging over the edges of the top cover produces, and will really cool that hive. Now that's something you can do. Also, I've done this for years. Bees need ventilation, so a screen bottom board is essential. And if you don't have a screen bottom board, it helps with mite control a little bit too, so think about that. But I take a coin, like a dime, a quarter, a penny. I lift up my top cover in the back. I put that coin right between whatever, inner cover or deep box and top cover, and put the top cover down. And that provides less than about 1/8 inch of a gap. And that helps the bees pull air through that hive, because bees will face the entrance and fan their wings really hard to draft air, hot moist air out of that hive, because the brood has to be kept 92.5. And on hot days where it's topping near 95 or up, they have to work hard. Actually the bees began bringing water instead of nectar into the hive, and they deposit it on the brood comb that's capped over and fan their wings to cool the brood to keep it 92.5. That's called evaporative cooling. I've read that they can run 1 gallon of water through their hive during the course of 1 day to keep it cool. That's amazing, isn't it? Anyway, that's cool. So 2 things you can do. I'm looking at my hives now. It's like, wow. They look hot already, but you can put a piece of plywood or cardboard. Cardboard works good to make shade on a top cover if you don't have rain. it will kind of get droopy from moisture and it will fall apart if it rains. But on a hot, dry day, it'd be fine. But a piece of plywood works too. Whatever you can do to make shade, let's put it that way. And then secondly, give them a little ventilation by putting a coin under the top cover in the back. Word of caution about the coin in the top cover: if it's during robbing season, like a nectar dearth, you want to be careful. Robbers could be attracted, even though they may not be able to go in there, they might go to the front, so use good judgment there. Also, if you're battling small hive beetle, be careful. If you jack that up too much, beetles can go in there, and that would be a problem. So you'll have to find some other screen ventilation method to keep your beetles out up there on that. Beetles can go through the screen of a bottom board, which is 1/8 hardware cloth. So you'll have to use something a little more tighter than 1/8 hardware cloth if you're going to have an upper screen ventilation and you want to keep the beetles out, okay? You know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to take a frame out and move it to another hive that could use it. And then I'm going to look for a frame that's drawn out, but it has nothing on it, like no resources. And I'm going to put it in that little 5-frame nuke. And then I think what I'll do is, I think I'll pick it up and videotape it every day for just a few minutes every day. I'll make a little stand where maybe I can get a consistent reoccurring image of it on video, maybe 30 seconds a day, and I'll just I'll speed up the time on that so that we can watch the progression of a frame in a hive over the course of, let's say, 30 days or 21 days, whatever how long I decide to do, maybe until it's capped over, maybe 30 days. Gosh, that's a good idea. I mean, I don't know if I can pull that off, but it sounds fun. I'm going to try it. Yeah, that'd be a cool video for us to do. Okay, so keep watching for that in the future. I like that concept. In the beginning, I said we were going to have coffee time. And so this is the time when you can just say, okay, I'm done watching the video. I don't want to hear David talk, so I'm done. Or some of you might be saying, I'm bored to death. There's nothing better on. There's no new movies, no new shows, so might as well listen to what he has to say, whatever reason. And for the 1 or 2 of you that enjoy it, well, I'm going to do it for you. So we'll have coffee time. And I think I'd like to follow this idea about getting old because I have, and I've told you before, I have 6 children and I have 11 grandchildren. Well, of course, my children are young. My grandchildren are very young. My oldest daughter turns 40 this year. And I know when I was a kid, I would go to school and people would say, we had this thing at school where we would say, how old's your mom? How old's your dad? How old's your mom? And I remember telling somebody my mom was like 32. And they were like, oh my gosh, your mom's an old lady. And I thought she was. She looked old to a 8-year-old, And boy, it's amazing how perception is. And when you're young, people look old. When you get older, I don't know. I feel that way when I fly, and how you walk off the plane and the pilots open the little door there and you can kind of see them sitting there. Some of them say bye to you and they're nice, but there's been a few times where they've opened the door and there's a little junior high person that's a pilot. To me, it looks like, are you 12? How can you fly this huge plane across the pond when you look like a junior higher? Or you go to the doctor and the doctor looks like, you want to say, when did you graduate? Like a few months ago? I mean, you can't be 20. But that's a sign that you're getting old. When everybody else looks like they're still in junior high to you, and yet they're not. You know what I'm talking about? I've always enjoyed hanging around older people than me. When I was a young kid, I enjoyed being with my dad. Of course, my dad hung out with people his age, so I would go with my dad to places. And I would meet the people that he hung out with that were probably 30 or 40, and I would talk to them. I would have conversations with older people. I wasn't one of those kids that was embarrassed to be around adults. I would engage adults in conversations. I spent a lot of time, like, for example, when I was young, I got into photography back probably in the 70s, I think. I had my own darkroom. And I developed, I had a 35 millimeter camera. My dad got a bonus one year, and I had been wanting this 35 millimeter camera forever, and they sold it, and it was hundreds of dollars back in the 70s, you know. It was a Pentax something. And, you know, that's in the day when you actually, some of you don't know what I'm talking about, but you put film in there, a roll of film, like 35 millimeter film that was money. And you would put it in, crank it, and then you could take different lenses, different settings on this thing. You can make beautiful pictures. I really got into that. I made some great pictures. And I set up my own darkroom. As a teenager, I just researched it. You know, research was hard in the 70s because there was no internet, but I figured out how to make my own darkroom, and I would go to a photography store and ask people there, you know, how do I get set up? What kind of chemicals do I need, and pans and exposures? Gosh, what was that thing called that exposed? You'd put the negative in and it would expose the black and white on there. Can't remember the name of that thing. I had it forever, but had little timers and everything. But I love developing pictures. And so my brother, he was 3 years older than I was, so he got his pilot's license. We were both working on our pilot's license at the same time, and he got his pilot license. And so he and I would get in a little Cessna 150, and I'd grab my 35 millimeter camera, hang out the door. I'd take pictures of people's houses, and had the idea that I could sell, you know, pictures to people from aerial photos of their places. But I did all that because I didn't mind going and talking to people that were adults, older than me, and saying, you know, I'd be nice to them and say, can you help me figure this out? People love to help kids discover stuff. And so if you can teach your children to be forward, self-assertive enough to be polite, but see if they could get some information from adults that are older than them, man, that's huge. It really is huge. I really enjoyed doing that. I took some pictures of a storm, a lightning storm. You know, now you can capture pictures of lightning very easily. But back then, you know, you couldn't really capture a lightning strike because it just happens in a second and you've got a shutter, you know. So I was just spending so many evenings trying to capture lightning strikes and daytime and all. I finally got a beautiful picture of a lightning strike, very, you know, winding lightning strike, forking all over the place and going behind a tree or something. Well, what did I do? I developed the picture myself, and I went down to our local newspaper agency in the town that I lived near. And I went and talked to the editor. I asked, could I speak to your, well, I talked to the guy that, the main guy that ran the newspaper place. I didn't know that was who he was, but he sat me down and he's like, David, this is a great picture. I'm gonna run it on my front page. And it was really cool. I don't know how old I was. I was a young teenager, but you know, back when you're a young teenager, this was a big accomplishment. I had my photograph of a lightning strike on the front page of my local newspaper, and my name, and you know, David Burns photographed this, and boy, that really encouraged me. I got motivated to take more pictures and do things, and to this day, I still love photography. It's changed so much with digital photography, but it's cool. I say all that to emphasize that we need to really appreciate people that are older than us, no matter how old they are. And we have a tendency, I think, when you're young, to look at older people as, ooh, that's an old person, you know, they're, I don't know, we don't want to always be around our grandparents or great-grandparents. We'd rather hang out with people our own age. I get all that, you know, but I have some friends that I in my other sport that I'm involved with, I have some friends that are in their 30s, and they really enjoy hanging out with me and talking and spending time. And I can tell they're the kind of people that are gleaming information from people that have been through life and experiences. And so that's important. I think if we can not just cast away our older adults, but embrace them, go to them and talk to them, find out with love and respect for them what their life was like. Because we're going to be that way one day. And we would like to share our lives with the younger people. There's a lot of energy to be gained, both by hanging out with younger people and hanging out with older people. I get energized being with older people that tell their stories. Some of them tell me about the health issues or how they've been through cancer, how they recovered from a heart attack, how they had challenges when they were younger, being poor, how they worked their way out of poverty, and how they became successful in their business. I mean, these are just gold nuggets to learn what people have been through and what they've gained through life. You can learn about mistakes that people have made that helps you avoid mistakes. So if you're a young person, learn to love and respect those that are older than you, and be forward, be polite and nice, but be forward enough to show respect for older people and begin learning from them. Model your life after some people that are doing what you hope to do. Maybe you can find an older beekeeper that's very knowledgeable. Apparently, I'm that older man, that older Mr. Rogers beekeeper. But you can find somebody near you that might be able to mentor you in an older age that you can respect. But whatever you're pursuing in life, just know that there's a gold mine to be gained by talking to people that have experienced things and have a good knowledge of life in general as they get older. That's cool. I'm glad we talked about getting old. Now, what about you getting old? Now, you can sit around and go, oh man, I'm getting old. Look at my face in my mirror. I swear sometimes I catch a glimpse of myself and it looks like my dad. Oh, I can't believe how much I look like my dad as an old man. I don't know, it is so freaky. Wow. One thing you never want to do is ever say to your wife that she looks like her mother or acts like her mother. That usually doesn't go well. Or, like my wife's mom's name is Virginia. She's in her 80s. I learned as a young person, a young married man, that I can never say this phrase, okay, Virginia, to my wife. Oh, you cannot do that. So if you're not married yet, you do not ever do that to your wife. They love their mom and they honor their mother, but they don't want to be called their mother. So that's something to think about. So, but anyway, I think as you get older, you can learn to appreciate older people, but you yourself getting older can be challenging because you'll start seeing things deteriorate, like your eyesight or your memory. There'll be things that, you just physically can't do what you used to be able to do, and you'll kind of get depressed about that maybe. But there's no reason to. You just have to learn that every section of life, every period of life has its purposes. And when you enter those different times of your life, purposes change and you adapt and you start doing what you do at that age, what you can best do at that age, and be happy about it. Be joyful and say, man, I'm glad at this age I've made it to this age, and I'm enjoying being this age. I'm going to do these things at this age. When you're young, you're raising family and you're trying to survive every day. You're trying to get enough money to pay the bills, trying to keep the kids fed and cleaned, and running kids to doctor's appointments and school projects and everything, and you're just frazzled. And then when your kids get old enough and get married and they're gone, then you would have thought you would have said, okay, I'm all alone. We're home by ourselves. We can do what we want. And then you kind of miss your kids. You're like, oh man, I love the full house and all the kids and watching them at Christmas. And boy, I miss that. And you start missing your kids. It's not easy to let your kids grow up and leave the house. Some of you are like crying. I was like, oh, I can't. But it is hard when you're kids. I remember when my daughter Jennifer, my oldest daughter, went to school for the first time as a, 6 or 7 year old. And we lived near a church building. And so the bus stopped at the church. So Sherry and I walked down there, and Jennifer, maybe I can find that picture and put it on here. But Jennifer was wearing this beautiful dress, for a young girl going to school. I think she had a lunchbox, a notebook, pencils sharpened, you know. I mean, all the things that you're just so excited about with school starting. And it was about a block from the church where the bus picked Jennifer up as a 6 or 7 year old. And after Jennifer, that bus was huge. Jennifer was so small she couldn't hardly get up on that first step of that bus, you know. And there she goes off to school. And for that one block, I've never heard a woman cry so hard. Wow. And it was like, there goes my daughter. You know, she's only like 6 years old. She's going off to school and she'll be gone all day. And I didn't cry because I'm a man. I mean, I'm emotional now because I'm older and I don't care. But Sherry cried all the way home, just bawled because her young little baby, the firstborn little baby we had together, was going to school. It was so painful. And then you go through life where they get married, they leave home. I mean, it can really be emotional. And then now she's approaching 40 years old. I mean, I don't even feel 40. So, but you just enjoy each of those moments. You just learn that everything that happens at different ages are special, and you adapt. And no matter what you go through in life, if you get older and have to go through health issues, each one of those should be viewed like, this is going to be challenging. I know it kind of maybe sucks or stinks that things happen that are painful or slow you down or something, ruin your schedule. It's okay. Just look at it like, all right, I'm going to deal with this. I'm going to learn something. This will be new. This is what I'm going to learn at this age. All right, whatever. We live a lot longer than honeybees. In the summertime, honeybees live about 35 to 40 days. And so we live a lot longer than that in a good life. But bees are going to do what bees should do at each section of their days. They do different things at different days, and they're responsible. That's what we should do at different stages of our life. All right, well, there's some tips for you. Very good. Nice being with you. And before I go, look at this. This is a stack of books that my publisher gave us and said, these are for your, well, there's actually more. I just put those there. But they said, give them to your friends and your family. They sent us about 20 of them. And then this book comes out at the filming of this video. It comes out tomorrow, actually. Available in stores and purchase on Amazon. I'll provide a link down below, so check that out before. I know I've told you about that before, but check the link out below. We appreciate that. Also, I love it when you take one of my beekeeping courses. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Many of you ask me questions in comments on YouTube videos. I'm somewhat able to answer some of your questions, but I'll be honest with you, when I see questions about beekeeping on YouTube, I'm a little reluctant to answer it for several reasons. One, I don't know where you live. I don't know if you're in a hot climate, cold climate. You know, I don't know whether you're running a top bar, a flow hive, a Langstroth. I don't know all the background, so it's hard to answer your questions and do it justice. But to be honest with you, some of your questions tell me that you have not that you don't have the basic fundamentals of beekeeping down, or you wouldn't be asking a very, very elementary question. So for me to answer that, I feel guilty, because I feel like to answer that doesn't help you that much, because you don't have the fundamentals down. So anyway, I really want you to take a beekeeping class. I don't care where you take it. You don't have to buy mine. I mean, that would be nice, but I have online courses, basic beekeeping. I have an ultimate course that includes a lot of classes like getting your bees through the winter, how to raise queens and all that. Please check it out down below, honeybeesonline.com. I would like to continue making my living off of classes that sell. That helps me make more videos, and I don't have to go work at a factory and won't have time to do anything with bees or videos anymore. So it helps me and you both out when you do that. Appreciate it. So check out our online courses. And then what happened with Bee Team 6, it's a coaching, mentoring program where I help beekeepers. They can call my personal cell phone, they can email me, talk directly to me, they can send me videos, and I walk them through problems or suggestions on how to keep their hives healthy. And we reached a top point of members that we felt like we shouldn't go any higher. And so right now, I'm in the process, when I have time, some of you are still slipping in, but I'm going to have to not take new members because it's become, so many people have signed up, which I appreciate so much, but I want to be able to give each person personalized attention. So I don't want it to get too big where I can't spend time answering your questions and all. So, it's going to be a few more days before I can get to that and put that waiting list together, so you can sign up on a waiting list and then wait for somebody to drop off, and then we'll just take the waiting list in order. So if you want to try to sneak in before I make it to the website to make those changes, that's fine. I can take a few more, but just wanted to warn you ahead of time. Don't be disappointed if you try to go and sign up for B Team 6 and you get stuck on a waiting list. So I'm going to just make it a last minute effort on your part. If you really are just crying to get in, I think you can make it for another week. So think about that. Okay, well, very good. Good to be with you. Going to enjoy my cup of coffee here on a Giant City mug. And if you want me to receive a mug from you, I would gladly drink out of it and feature it on a future YouTube video. This is going to be great coffee. I know it is. There's just, I don't know, there's nothing like it. I love it. I love fresh coffee. All right, we'll see you next time.